It's finally time to go out and look for some live insects to photograph. As you might know, that is my favorite thing to do in the whole world almost. And now I haven't been able to do it in a long time, with the exception of a short trip to Lisbon a few weeks ago. It's been a very long winter here in Sweden, very long. And now today is the first day where I feel it is worthwhile to go out and look for some insects. It's 17 degrees Celsius, it's sunny, so should be able to find something, even though most of them are probably still sleeping. But let's see what we can find. Today I'm shooting with the OM-1, the V350 flash and the Pope shield. Just because that's what happened to be on my camera. Also I'm using the Olympus 60mm macro lens. As you might know, I'm trying this system out and trying to see if it is time for me to switch to Olympus, or if I should keep my Sony A7 set up for macro photography. I mean, I'm gonna keep the Sony either way because I love it and because it's good for reviewing all kinds of lenses and stuff, but not finding much of interest out here in the field, the literal field. So I'm gonna go into the forest and see what we can see there. Should at least be able to find some forest ants, I'm pretty sure of. In the Olympus camera you can set a number, and that is kind of the distance between the shots when you're doing an automated focus stack. But one thing that is not really obvious and that I'm unsure of is, does this distance auto adjust if you change the aperture or the magnification? Do any one of you know if that's the case? I haven't really found that information online, and it's kind of important, or it would be a good thing if you did adjust. Let's see if we can find any ants. Usually we can count on the forest ants, even when it is early in the season. And yes, sure enough, we have some ants. They are a bit quick though for focus stacks, but yeah, let's see what we can get. Good thing with forest ants is they usually stop when they see the flash and kind of look at you for a second, and then you have the chance to take a couple more shots. So I kind of immediately gave up on trying to focus stack the ants. They are simply too quick for that, at least when it's this warm. But I found to my surprise that the autofocus on the OM-1 is very fast and looks like it is fast enough to photograph these ants. And that's kind of special to me because I've always recommended against trying to use autofocus in macro photography. But maybe, just maybe, I will change my mind about that. Yeah, we'll see when I get home and I get to study how well the autofocus actually nailed the focus. I do find that when you photograph forest ants, it's perfect with a tree like this, a nice white birch tree, because you have the ants in a very convenient height. You don't have to crawl around or climb or anything. And also you can get the sky in the background, which can add a lot to the photos. So it's a really nice thing to find a tree close to the anthill where the ants are just climbing up and down. Good thing with this guy is he sits absolutely still, so it's possible to make a focus stack. Whenever I encounter a subject that sits still like this on a tree stem, I try to support the front of my lens against the tree so that it becomes absolutely steady, or at least as steady as it can be without a tripod. Okay, so I'm back indoors and I have a few notes after looking at all the photos from this walk and reflecting on the mistakes I did and so on. First of all, I have to get used to the Micro Four Thirds sensor, which means that I don't have as much latitude to do mistakes in exposure as I do on full frame, and I cannot crop that much at all. On full frame, I'm used to exposing completely wrong and cropping a lot because I know that I can get it right in post-production. I can always adjust the exposure by several steps without losing any color or detail, and I can crop quite a lot as well without losing much. But on the Olympus sensor, I can't really do that. I have to mind the exposure, I have to mind the composition a lot when I'm doing the actual photography. I also noted that the Olympus camera very often completed the stack successfully, but then when I view the photo up close, the successful stack, I noticed that it pretty much just took one of the photos from the stack, cropped it a bit and called it a day. And in those cases, you're very much better off by just using the original photo that the stack was based on, because then you have a raw photo and you don't have it cropped and you can do all that yourself. So always review the individual photos of the stack as well as the final image and decide for yourself if the stack actually was helpful or not. I also need to look into the step size of the stacks. Today I was using 5 as the number, which is the distance between the photos, and it seems a little bit too much for the photos that I took, at least on high magnifications. So I think I will decrease that to like 3 for next photo walk and see if I get even better stacks then. Because today most of the stacks didn't turn out that great at high magnification. But even when the automated stacks don't work out that well, it's still a great tool to get good focus. Because if I combine the autofocus of the Olympus system, which is pretty good, and do an automated stack, I instantly get 10 photos at different focusing distances, and usually one of these is perfect, and then I can just pick that photo, and yeah, it works pretty well, I would say, as a focus assist method. And the autofocus on the OM-1 camera is pretty good. I get a pretty good hit rate even at high magnifications. But sure, a lot of photos are not focused where I would want them to be, but that is what I'm used to anyway when I'm doing manual focus in macro photography. It is really hard to set the focus right in high magnification macro photography. So I'm gonna experiment more this spring with autofocus just to see if that could be a viable option. Even though for me, it still seems like I have a little bit better control with manual focus. Especially I love setting the magnification beforehand so that I know that the insect will be big enough in the frame. I had a lot of problems today with the ants, for example, that they are very small in the frame, and then when I try to crop, I can't because the resolution is so low. So yeah. I got a few comments recently about me switching to Olympus. First of all, I haven't switched to Olympus. I bought an Olympus camera and lens because I want to try this system and compare it to my Sony full frame system. it doesn't necessarily mean that I have switched. I'm switching for a period, and then we'll see after that period what I think. And also people seem to be kind of upset that, oh, you're leaving us Sony users behind now. I stand here by myself with this expensive Sony camera and this expensive Laowa lens, and now you're leaving us behind for Olympus. But no, I mean, that's not what I'm doing, and sure, I might switch to Olympus, but that does not mean that the Sony system is bad for macro photography. I mean, all the photos I took with the Sony a7 III and a7 IV and the Laowa lenses, I'm still super happy with those photos, and I'm still super happy with the experience of taking them. I mean, no matter what happens, that will still hold true in the future. And even if I'm switching to Olympus, it doesn't mean that the Sony a7 system with Laowa lenses is a bad option for macro photography. I still think it is the greatest option I have tried. And the jury is still out on the Olympus system. I need to try that a bit more to make up my mind if I like it better or not. So we'll see. I'll need to make at least 10 more photo walks with the Olympus system before I can make up my mind if I prefer it over the Sony system or not. Either way, I'm so very happy that insect macro season is finally here again in Sweden. I've been missing it so much. I just love going outdoors, photographing live insects. And it has been a bit depressing with this long winter, but where I've only done like indoors videos and like equipment reviews. I don't enjoy doing reviews that much, but I know that you appreciate it a lot, but I'm really looking forward to just doing some outdoor photography now. See you soon again in another video.